Thank you very much, Ayinde. It's only fitting to follow up your very beautiful tribute to the late, great Mamba with something that was highly affected by this man's loss. Just hours, mere hours after this tragedy, you had all these celebrities gathering for one of the biggest events of the year. And then all these people that a lot of these people knew Kobe in real life, finding out that they just lost a friend right before they have to go live in front of millions of people. It's a tragedy that this happened, and it's only right that we talk about the Grammys, which is that event that was affected. The 62nd annual Grammys, and me and Miss Honeycutt here will tell you all about what happened if you didn't happen to catch it.
Yes, Alicia Keys, who is the host of the Grammys, started off the night by talking about those lost of Kobe Bryant and his daughter's loss. Lizzo kicked off her performance of her song, 'Cause I Love You, by stating, "Tonight is for Kobe."
A lot of very emotional people came on the stage. Alicia Keys opened the show out with a very beautiful, heartwarming message to the audience. She's one of those people that knew Mamba in real life. And then Lizzo's performance, also a great way to begin the show. And, a lot of other emotional stuff happened, including Demi Lovato returning to the stage for the first time in almost 2 years since her near overdose in June of 2018. And during the song that she's saying, she cried for help to, again, a huge audience, stating, "Anyone, please send me anyone. Lord, is there anyone? I need someone." Obviously, I just sounded exactly like her, so I'm sure you can get the message. It's just a lot of emotional things went down at the Grammys, and that's not something you really expect out of a thing with all these happy people. But it was very beautiful to see Demi finally return to stage after her very long absence. Camila Cabello, I think I said that right, sang her song "First Man," which she wrote about her own father, Alejandro, who she actually brought to attend with her. After the show, he got emotional, and she went up, and they had a big hug, big moments, tears in their eyes. It was very beautiful to see on TV, and of course, any fans must really find that touching. What do you think about that?
Oh, it was so beautiful. I just saw how he just looked at her, and he was just wiping his eyes, and he just gets up, and it was just, they really had an emotional connection, and they were just so happy.
We've talked about all the emotional things, a lot of tears, a lot of memories and stuff, but what actually happened at the Grammys? I'll tell you exactly what happened at the Grammys. Billie Eilish happened at the Grammys, or as Dwight Schrute likes to say, Billie Eyelash from The Office. Billie Eilish made history, second person ever, I think since 1960, to sweep the general awards, and those awards are Record of the Year, Song of the Year, Album of the Year, and Best New Artist, and she received 6 nominations and won 5 of those awards, which that's absolutely groundbreaking. That's insane.
Yeah, especially since she just turned 18 in October, November?
Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. I mean, as an 18-year-old myself, I'm just in college, just now starting my career, and she's already up there and just doing amazing things. It's just something that really inspires me.
I definitely heard that. I'm 22 years old, so imagine how I feel. Big Nas. You may hear that name, you may remember it, or maybe not, but Big Nas surprised the audience by coming on stage with Lil Nas during their performance, and no one expected that, so really shocked the crowd there. And we were talking about nominations and awards. Well, if we're going to talk about that, we have to talk about the night Lizzo had. 8 nominations, 3 awards, and I think that's really well deserved. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I love her music. She gives her heart into it, and she really genuinely cares about her music. She is very talented, I think.
I think that after her opening song, I think that she definitely deserved to get at least 1 award for that.
Yes.
We got to move on a little bit now. We only have a certain amount of time. A lot happened at the Grammys, but we should talk about movies. It's entertainment. I'm going to try to pick the beat up here a little bit. A lot of Kobe, a lot of sadness. So let's pick up the pace here a little bit, shall we? So February movie releases. There's not really that much coming out, but there are a couple of notable ones. I'm going to shout some of those out for you, and I want you to tell me what you're most excited for, if any at all. You have the Birds of Prey movie, which you may remember is the new Harley Quinn movie coming out with a lot of other famous female super villain hero, whatever you want to call them, type things. You got Black Canary coming in the movie. So Harley Quinn, same actress from the Suicide Squad movie. Yep. So I actually got to see a little bit of that set when I went to LA a year ago from a distance. I got to see from a distance. It was dark, but I saw some wooden structures in there. So, I feel like I know a lot about the movie just by seeing that,
of course.
Yeah. The Kingsman is probably the movie I'm most excited for coming out this year. It's the 3rd movie of the Kingsman sequel, and I think that the original Kingsman movie has one of my favorite movie moments of all time, that church fight scene. Just insane. Not appropriate. If you don't like that kind of thing, I'm telling you now, don't watch that movie. But it's a really fun, great movie, very high paced. The King's Man is a movie. It's a prequel, which I'm also very excited for, around a character that is a very good character.
Hey, I'm gonna have to come in there and I have to agree with you on that one, man. I'm really excited for The King's Man.
I said that, and Ayende's face just lit up. Another movie I'm actually surprisingly excited for, Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes, this movie is going to be very bad, but I am very excited for this movie. Sonic the Hedgehog, if you don't know, the animation when the first trailer came out was so hideous that the studio received a lot of slack for it, and they listened to the fans. They listened to what their fans had to say. They went back, reanimated the entire movie to make Sonic look more like the character that he actually is than whatever the abomination was that we got in that first trailer. And fun fact, the company that was in charge of the animation went under after this. Out of business, gone.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
It's heartbreaking because I think that when a studio listens to their fans like that, they deserve some kind of award. So I'm going to go see this movie just to support the company that went under to make this movie what the fans want it to be. It's going to be a bad movie, but that's not the animator's fault. So I'm going to go watch it to support him of that.
No, that's great.
The only horror movie coming out in February, The Lodge. I don't know too much about this movie, but a February horror movie, it's being promoted as one of the scariest movies ever. Ooh, we see that a lot. Well, I guess we'll see, but it's a winter-themed movie. I guess it's appropriate for the time of year. Do you like horror movies, Hannah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I guess. Like, I mean, I just started watching them. My family isn't a big, like, they are not, my mom, she screams at, like, Marvel, like, turn it off. So, like, I like Marvel and stuff like that, but I'm definitely trying to get more into it, so.
Get to Marvel here in a little bit, but something I saw when I was looking at February movie releases, there's a lot of opera movies coming out.
Really?
There's like 3 or 4 opera movies. I don't know why. I didn't know there was a demand for that, especially, is February some kind of special opera month? Somebody shout out to BC Voice if you know the answer to my question. Is opera a thing in February? I don't know, but I will not see any of those. Yeah. Needless to say. Ayinde?
Now listen, it's interesting, right? I don't know. I guess people are just clamoring for something new and different, and we don't really see a lot of operas. So who knows?
Who knows? If one comes out and the critics are raving about it, I might go see it. You know, I'm open-minded like that, so I love movies. We'll see. You were talking about Marvel a minute ago. Well, I got a huge Marvel kind of sort of update for you. According to The Hollywood Reporter, a lawsuit that was earlier filed a couple months or a year or so ago back, Stan Lee's daughter, J.C. Lee, is getting some slack from POW Entertainment, which is a company that Stan Lee co-founded, about Disney's mistreatment of the Stan Lee contract and how he must appear in every Marvel movie. His daughter apparently didn't like that. There is a lawsuit filed against Disney for that reason. And the POW Entertainment company came out with a statement saying that the act by J.C. Lee is grossly selfish and an inconsiderate waste of time. J.C. Lee sued POW in September to reclaim control of Stan Lee's intellectual property and likeness rights. So maybe this is just kind of like a revenge statement from them. But what do you think if a company you created comes in, they're kind of sort of attacking your daughter for almost kind of defending? I don't know. What do you think about that?
I don't know. That's crazy. I don't know too much about it to say, to actually, like, put my opinion in. But I definitely think that that's crazy that, like, I don't think, like, if you build up a company and then they come right back at you and just like, oh, well, you're not doing this or whatever this was about, I think that you guys should be able to be grown-ups and be able to handle this.
I think with this certain story, what's happening is that I believe that JC is acting with good intentions.
Yeah.
The protection of her father. But you can see that he didn't hate doing what he did, apparently with all these cameos and everything. Yeah, Disney may have not been the best, treated him the best, but you never heard him, like, publicly criticize him. And I think maybe that's the point. But, and again, I don't like POW's statement, but, I mean, someone has to say something, right?
Yeah, I can kind of see both sides of this. POW is trying to come to not only the defense of their founder, but to the defense of their company. Because if the judge is, like, against Disney on this, then, I mean, I don't know really how that may shape Stan Lee's image, if at all. I understand that his daughter's looking out for his image, her future. She deserves a lot of what he left behind because she is his offspring. I mean, I don't know anything personally about Stan Lee's personal life, but it's, I think, easy enough to say that these people are just acting out of best intentions. I think Powell needs to kind of back off a little bit, kind of let the case run its course, let the law do their thing. But I also understand if the judge drops this case, I also understand that. You're going against Disney here. Nobody wants to go against Disney. Disney is running the operation. Speaking of Disney, do you have Disney Plus?
No, I do not.
You don't have Disney Plus?
I'm a cheapskate.
You're a cheapskate. I understand that. Sometimes Netflix is all you need, but in a world run by streaming services, Disney Plus is coming up, and February is a huge month for Disney Plus, including new news coming out of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. The director has dropped out, or not dropped out, just removed. I don't know what happened, but the director's gone. Obi-Wan show is being postponed because of that, and whenever you see a director change like this off of a release that's this highly anticipated, you start to wonder, how's it going to look? How's it going to be? A lot of times when we see this happen, it's not a good product. This is a show with a lot of potential and something I'm personally excited to see. I think there may be some continuity issues with this, blah, 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 but Ewan McGregor, you can never, ever diss on Ewan McGregor. Amazing actor, amazing at Obi-Wan. He's returning. I'm excited for that. Whatever the director decides to do, I'm excited for it. Ayinde, I know you have a lot of strong feelings about Star Wars. What do you think?
Listen, just like you, I'm very excited to see this Obi-Wan show. I think one of the issues that I have is the fact that the script is being rewritten multiple times.
Yes.
And pushing it back now is sort of, it gives me a little bit of cost pause, but I'm not going to be too pessimistic about it. It's going to be great. Ewan McGregor is excited to be back in the role, so if he's excited, I'm excited.
Script rewrites are always a scary thing, but when you have an actor that really loves the role, he really loves the role and he's going to bring enthusiasm. So there's something to be salvaged from. In the last minute we have real quick, I want to move to a different streaming service, Netflix. Hannah, do you have Netflix?
I also don't have Netflix.
Cheapskate. So Netflix, their first attempt at video game development as the Dark Crystal Age of Resistant Tactics is going to be released February 4th as the month of January comes to a close. February begins. Netflix is trying their hand at video games, and they're using a property that already exists. They're kind of extending on it a little bit. But what's interesting here, so the Dark Crystal is a Jim Henson property-based game. So it's all about Jim Henson. The cutscenes, they're not real people. They're not animated characters. They're puppets. The cutscenes in this video game are puppets. This is Netflix's first attempt at a video game, so I'm kind of excited to see what that looks like. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy the game, but you certainly know I'm going to be looking at some YouTube videos about it at least.
Huh, that's interesting. Like, I've never, like, they are so broad, like, everyone I know just is always on Netflix. And so, like, just to hear that they're now going to video games, that's a very new concept, and I can't wait to hear how that goes.
Yeah. So sadly, that's all the time we have here for entertainment. Me and Hannah are going to sign off and hand it back over to our host, Ayinde. Ayinde, it's all you now, buddy.
All right, thank you guys so much for all of that wonderful entertainment news. The mic was sort of cut out at the beginning, so I'm just going to go ahead and reintroduce the show. Welcome to the BC Voice Midweek Radio Show every Wednesday here at 7 o'clock. My name is Ayinde. Once again, as he said, I'm the host. I'm going to be here to guide you guys through a wonderful night of news, sports, and everything else in between. Speaking of news, we're going to head into our next segment, which is talking about everything local and national news with Cheylyn Grant and Joe Caron. They're going to be talking about something new happening here at Bridgewater, and they're going to be talking about the impeachment and some groundbreaking news in cancer research. So, guys, I'm going to give it to you. Take it away.
What's up, Bridgewater? I'm Joe.
I'm Che.
And we got a lot of good news coming to you. Some local stuff, some White House, and then stuff around the world. So I'm going to start off with some local news. So according to WHSV News, there may be a hotel that's going to be built in Bridgewater coming soon. In June, the town of Bridgewater applied for a grant for a hotel feasibility study just to see if is a hotel necessary? Would it be viable? Would we be able to maintain a hotel? And that was approved. So hotel construction should be getting underway pretty soon. It'll be on a piece of land off of Dinkle and Don Linton Parkway. So that's near the health center and the rescue squad. And I mean, I know personally, for my parents, it was hard to find a place because they're coming down for graduation, and everything in Harrisonburg filled up. So they we needed something around here to. They found a cottage in Bridgewater. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are definitely going to be grateful for that.
Oh, okay. I'm going to talk about the dreaded news that was already discussed earlier, the Kobe Bryant crash. RIP to him and the other members of the crash. But apparently, the pilot wasn't even supposed to fly that day. It was actually according to Forbes. There are specific weather conditions that make it difficult to fly, including cloudiness and fog. And if you guys saw like the pictures, the post, and even in the news, it was really foggy that day.
Whoa.
And apparently there was a cloud ceiling of 1,100 feet and there was only a visibility of 2.5 miles. So the visibility that you see in your weather app, yeah, it should say something like 10 miles most of the time. But in this case, it was 2.5. And there were even drones of the crash, which I think is kind of weird. Have you heard about that? How there are drones of the crash?
I have not.
Yeah.
That's new to me.
Yeah, there are videos of the crash that went down, and it was captured on a drone. And the pilot's name, his last name is Dietz, and he's been flying for such a long time.
Yeah.
And he always said that in the back of his mind, that when he's flying helicopters, it's always, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do this. Because flying as it is already a big risk, but he just took it as if it was another day of work and typical protocol. And apparently Bryant said that he wanted to do this helicopter flying to spend more time with his daughter, and they were on their way to a tournament.
Yeah, I actually heard an interview where he was talking about why he was switching from just traveling in a car to a helicopter, and he's like, well, I mean, LA area traffic's the worst in the country.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you have enough money to fly in a helicopter, get out of the traffic, like, why wouldn't you? And it was, I mean, I'm already, like, still in my, like, really sad about it. Like, but, I mean, just talking about it more like this, it's like, man.
I know.
That's
crazy.
It sucks. It's, it'll take me a while to get over it, honestly. All right, so moving on. We got impeachment, which is still going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think we expect this to be a little faster than it's going. And I mean, I don't know how much longer it's gonna go on, but Trump's defense team had their opening statements wrapped up yesterday on Tuesday, and it's a lot of it's a lot of denial from his defense lawyers. I'm sure it's hard for news outlets to report like all of the little details that they're saying and bring up every little piece of evidence, but his main defense lawyer Alan Dershowitz, he just said Trump's actions are not impeachable. Like he kind of repeated that statement, just kind of reiterated that over and over. So I mean, it's still like it doesn't really look like it's going either way. It's kind of like a stalemate. They're debating about a lot of like little things, little legal details.
Right.
So one of those is we got John Bolton, the former national security advisor for Trump, and pretty soon he's gonna come out with a book called The Room Where It Happened, a White House memoir, and he hasn't published it yet, so he's still kind of working on it. But it was kind of leaked. He in a conversation that he had with someone else, he leaked that the book contains vital information about Trump's phone calls with the president of Ukraine, and it kind of explains a lot of the details around like how he wanted to investigate Biden and a lot. It'll definitely shed a lot of light on the quid pro quo situation.
Right.
The problem is if they subpoena the manuscripts of his book, it'll show up on congressional records. Ooh. And congressional records are available for the public to see without paying a cent. So they're kind of like debating right now, is it legal for them, because then Bolton wouldn't make any money off of the book if that happened. So they're kind of debating, is it legal for them to be able to do that, to
that's such a big toss up.
If we didn't live in a capitalist nation, like they would probably just
they'd subpoena him right away.
Yeah, because like the stuff that you make is our property, but we have intellectual rights in America, so it's like it's his property because he wrote it. So I don't know. If I was in charge, which I'm not, I would. I mean, I don't know. If I was like making laws, I would make it John Bolton's choice, like whether the unfinished book was used
Right.
in the evidence or not, because I think that would be the best way in the society that we live in. But yeah, that's impeachment.
Wow.
Yeah.
So moving on from impeachment, we're going to move on to the coronavirus. Apparently, this was as of an hour ago, according to the New York Times, 6,000 confirmed cases of the coronavirus. There are foreign governments that have literally airlifted their citizens out of Wuhan, China. There are also signs of the virus reaching overseas to Germany, Japan, Taiwan, and Vietnam, to people who haven't even been to China. And also there's Wuhan land in Southern California, and people have been evacuated out of that on airplanes, and there were 135 people evacuated from that area in Southern California, and they're going to be brought through a bunch of different tests, and if they show up negative, according to the CDC, then they're free to travel. Otherwise, they have to stay for a 72-hour incubation period, and then after that, they could possibly be quarantined. Also, as of Tuesday, there were 4,593 infections around the world. And according to official Chinese statistics, as of today, 132 people have died from the virus. And on Tuesday, it was 106 people. And then in Australia, they began growing the virus.
Oh. What, to make a vaccine?
Yeah, to make a vaccine. Yeah, nothing weird, not to
yeah.
infect others, but to create a vaccine. And once they collect patient samples and effectively turn it into the coronavirus, they're going to send it to other infectious disease researchers throughout the public respiratory and other than that, like, it's really not, okay, in my eyes, it's not that big of a deal. The death rates are only 2%.
Okay.
And out of the people that get infected with the virus, only 20% of them fall severely ill, but the death rate is still only 2%.
Okay.
So, like, it's really not that bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm impressed at how quickly Australia was able to respond. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know, like, how vaccines work, but for them to, like, identify the virus and growing it and start working on a vaccine just a couple days after, that's impressive.
Yeah. Compared to, like, the Ebola virus that we had,
Yeah.
that was a period for, like, almost 6 months. And then, like, the swine flu, like, growing up, that was, like, a 1.5 year thing. So, like, this is really good. But the bad news is the International Ski Federation, they canceled their first World Cup. And it was supposed to be held in China, but they're moving it to the 2022 Beijing Olympics. And then summer's Tokyo Olympics, that includes women's soccer and women's basketball. It was supposed to take place in Tokyo, but because of the coronavirus, it's been moved to Australia and Serbia.
Okay, so when were those supposed to take place?
So those were supposed to take place, so the summer Tokyo Olympics, that was supposed to happen, like, I believe this summer. I'm not good with Olympics. I don't know when, but I believe it was supposed to be this year.
Yeah, because I think the last Summer Olympics were 2016.
Yeah. So they definitely moved it. But this also happened all before they found out this good information that there are vaccines being created, and this also happened, like, as soon as the virus broke out.
Yeah.
So honestly, it's really not that bad. Everyone will be okay. And Bridgewater even issued, did you see that?
What?
That health services issued, like, a guideline to, like, make sure you don't get sick, wash your hands, like, do the basics, basically. Yeah. I don't know who sent out that email.
I don't know what else to do.
I got it a couple days ago, and I was like, all right, I guess. I mean, I've been doing these things, and I hope everyone else is too.
I mean, I've been pretty honest with those things, and I add my gummy vites on top of that, 2 a day, and I'm not worried. I'm not worried about a thing, honestly.
Take Joe's advice. Take 2 gummy vitamins a day.
Yeah, like vitamin C.
You won't get the coronavirus if you take that.
In vitamin B.
Make sure you take your B12 too.
Yeah.
Stay energized.
Yep. Fish oil. All right. Well, how about some good news? So, researchers at MIT and Harvard, like their medical schools, they tested thousands of drugs that are already in, like, rotation and use. So they tested drugs that are used for inflammation, diabetes, alcoholism, ADHD. They tested all different types of compounds that people already use every day, and they found many of them have cancer-killing capabilities. They found many of these drugs have the capacity to combat cancer cells.
So what do we do now? I'm like,
Well,
just start taking ibuprofen, start taking everything that you have.
well, yeah, that's my advice. Just like melt everything into a pot and just go to town on
One big concoction that'll stop you from getting cancer.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, another piece of good news. So, in 2013, Great Britain introduced a tax on carbon dioxide emissions, and this has led to the proportion of electricity generated from coal to fall from 40% to 3% over 6 years. And this is research conducted by the University College of London. So, in 2013, honestly, this is really good. This is really, really good.
Yeah.
Honestly, if other countries can follow this initiative, that'd be great. And following this increase, the share of coal-fired electricity generation fell from 28% in 2015 to 5% in 2018, reaching 3% by September 2019.
Great.
If you don't know what those numbers mean, that means that coal emissions are going down extremely. So, yeah, that's some good news for tonight.
Yes, absolutely. That would be a really good note to end on, but something really strange happened in Virginia yesterday. Chris Hurst, the delegate for Trump's district, this man got pulled over and he blew a .085. And for anyone who doesn't know about breathalyzers, that's like hammered.
That's like really drunk.
Yeah, that's like you're in another dimension drunk. But he got let off the hook.
What?
He got off free. Because the General Assembly is in session, and unless a delegate commits like treason or a felony or does something like way worse than a DUI, they can't be.
What?
He's immune from arrest while that's going on. But yeah, some weird stuff.
All right, well, that's all the time we have. Thanks for listening. Once again, I'm Che.
I'm Joe.
And going on to the next segment.
Thank you guys so much for all of that wonderful news and not so wonderful news and news that's sort of in the middle as well. Again, the impeachment, I've said my piece sometimes with a couple of my friends, but I don't think this is going to go anywhere. This whole John Bolton thing, I think is really interesting. I didn't even think about that. But hey, so who knows? But now we're going to be moving on to sports, and I think it is very clear as to where we're going with the sports. We're going to be talking a lot about the tragic passing of Lakers superstar Kobe Bryant. And on top of that, we will also have some local sports. We're going to talk about the Pro Bowl, and of course, the Super Bowl is on Sunday. So I'm going to give it over to my friends Patrick Tiffey and Zach Rogers, who are going to be covering sports. Guys, take it away.
Thank you very much. Patrick Tiffey here along with Zach Rogers, as he said.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to start out with we're all very troubled with Kobe Bryant's death and is obviously very shooken. So
it's
we
very
thought,
tragic.
Yeah. So we thought we'd start out the show with 24 seconds of silence. So here we go. Thank you. I appreciate it. So Zach's going to go ahead and start us off with what he knows about the whole situation.
It all occurred on Sunday. It's around 10 a.m. Pacific time. It was around 1 Eastern time where we are right now. So it all occurred. He died in a helicopter crash. My bad. Along with his daughter and 7 others, and it was due to I would say the inclement weather, just the fog and the smog and all of that, and just none of them survived.
Yeah, it's really sad. We've seen around the NBA players and coaches and teams they have arm sleeves with 8 and 24 on it. I'm pretty sure in every game since the tragedy, they've taken 8 and 24 second shot clocks violations before the game started. Even tonight that we just found out recently, Alexander Ovechkin, one of the best players in the National Hockey League, is wearing 24 in tonight's game. Also, one of the people that Kobe's obviously magnificent and just a gift from God on this earth. But John Altobelli, head baseball coach at Powerhouse Orange Coast College, was also on there with his wife and daughter, and they didn't make it out either. which is very sad. Altobelli was the longest tenured coach at Orange Coast College history. He was entering his 24th season with the team, which actually they had their first game today without him, and they decided to go on and continue the season and honor him. He's over 700 wins, 4 state championships, and was named Orange Empire Conference Coach of the Year 5 times and twice named State Coach of the Year. So it's just really sad, and it was all just they were just flying to basketball practice, and so it was awful. But
I think another thing was the Lakers-Clippers game was postponed because of that.
Absolutely.
And that was honestly a really good thing to do.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing to play off of such a tragic event like Kobe's death.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's giving perspective to a lot of people who are like, well, if this can happen to Kobe, what's going to happen? But I feel like it's for the better, too. And, like, we should enjoy life. We should live life, but, like, every day.
Absolutely. And it's a great way everybody can come together and mourn. And prayers are out to the Bryant family as we can't imagine what they're going through. So we'll move on to local sports. Bridgewater men's basketball lost earlier tonight, which makes it 7 in a row that they've lost. EMU it was a 10-point game most of the second half, but EMU pulled away at the wire. They're 6-13 overall and 2-8 in conference. Bridgewater women's game is going on right now. They're playing EMU. They're actually on a 7-game winning streak, on fire in conference. I think they're 3rd or 4th. But
well, that's after losing 7 in a row at the beginning of the season. So it's a good little streak for them.
Oh yeah, great turnaround from Coach Matthews and her squad. So it's just awesome. ODAC championships for swim will start Thursday, February 6th. Baseball, softball, lacrosse, soccer, tennis, and golf either are getting underway or already started, and they'll start their games mid-February, beginning of March. Sound right, Zach?
Yeah.
So, Zach's got a little MLB drama for us, so here we go.
Just a little bit. You know, we've all been talking about the Astros for the past couple weeks and how they cheated in the 2017 season with the sign stealing, and usually it'd be like sign stealing is not necessarily bad, but the way they did it electronically was not sanctioned. And so after all that drama, they fired their GM, they fired their manager, and I think it was yesterday, they just hired Dusty Baker, who was the previous manager for the Nationals.
Guy's an old man.
But I feel like he has a lot of experience, though.
Oh, absolutely. And it's all about winning October in the 8th inning. Who you point to in the bullpen, he's got that experience, I agree. But I also saw that a lot of the players were pretty heated about other players not getting in trouble and suspended and fined.
But
tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I feel like they did enough because, well, some of the players didn't get fined, they didn't get fired, but
the managers got fired.
They also been banned for a year from baseball. I feel like it's a good start because other organizations like the NFL, like
Roger
NBA,
Goodell, he doesn't have it. No way.
No,
we're not getting started on that. Sorry, we'll stick to it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so it's all wild. It's breaking loose in the MLB right now.
I'm excited to see what happens in April
Absolutely.
for like the start of the MLB season. How the Astros are going to fare now with all their players and new management, and we'll see what happens.
And will Alex Cora ever have a job again in the MLB?
I don't think so.
Sure. Yeah, we'll figure that out. So we're going to move on to the Pro Bowl here / the Super Bowl. We're combining these topics. I'm reading your notes here. You just put AKA trash for the Pro Bowl.
It is.
Wow, that's rude, you guys.
Hey, man,
Pro Bowl trash.
I was watching the game, and there was no tackling. Every time there was a rush up the middle, it was two-hand touch. Like, you don't need that in for football at all. Soft. I remember seeing clips, resurfacing of Sean Taylor smacking the crap out of the punter.
And that's in the Pro. Hey,
that's in the Pro Bowl
right there. That's all that was.
Exactly.
That's heart and passion.
And so, yeah, it's just weak. I don't like watching the Pro Bowl because it's literally just a popularity contest. There's no need to play it because sure there's a winner, but no effort was put forth.
The bonuses.
So what do you think about the onside kick rule that was?
So that's pretty interesting. I don't know if you could ever actually put that in the NFL because that's just it's kind of weird. But I like how they're just trying to mix it up and get people involved.
Yeah, but how they used it, I think they only used it once.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, it was a 4th and 15, and he threw an interception.
Still 0-10 on Monday Night Football all the way out there for everybody out there that didn't know that. Fantastic guy though. So we're gonna move on to college basketball. Last week we talked about the big brawl in Lawrence, Kansas. Kansas has suspended DeSosa and McCormick, 2 guys that pretty much initiated it for the brawl indefinitely against Kansas State. Virginia went on the road and got a big win at Florida State on the road in Tallahassee. UVA started off slow, but 6-4 in conference now. Yeah, 6-4 in conference now, and just struggling to shoot the ball and hit their outside shots. You want to tell? You want to put anything out there for the UVA men's basketball team?
I mean, they're starting to come up a little bit, but like definitely a step down from last year.
Absolutely.
They won it all from like 2 years ago. They were knocked out in the first round by a 16 seed. So, I mean, this is kind of like in the middle ground. They're not doing terrible. They're not doing great. But will they make the? Do you think they'll make?
I think they can get hot at the right time and make a run in the tournament. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I don't know if you sticking to college basketball. I don't know if you saw this, but
you talking about the
Krzyzewski, just I mean I've never. That's something you don't see every day. Is that guy losing it on his own fans? And they were chanting Jeff Capel, who was an assistant for 8 years under Krzyzewski, and a lot of people thought he'd be his successor, but took the Pitt job, and they were letting Capel have it, and at halftime he was having none of it. So, what do you think about that? Do you think he was right, or do you think he should have just kept his cool? Or
I mean, as a fan, it's kind of fun to see a coach go off.
And he stood up for one of his own, if you think about it. That's
but
one
also,
of his guys.
Yeah, it's not really professional. Yeah, definitely not professional.
Yeah.
But it's something to be said about standing up for what you believe in.
Exactly.
And I feel like, I feel like people are 50-50 split with like whether he should have done it or not. But I mean, he did it, and I commend him for it, for like sticking to what he thinks. So.
Absolutely, especially when you get 1,000 wins plus. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
All right, so big game tonight in college basketball. West Virginia goes on the road to Lubbock, Texas. They will face a hostile environment in a top 20 ranked matchup against Texas Tech. My opinion, it's still kind of early in the Big 12 season, but I think this is a game the NCAA Tournament Committee can really look at and dictate where they're seated and when it comes to March in the tournament. What do you think?
I haven't really been following college basketball a lot. I usually follow during March Madness, but
that's the right time.
Yeah, it's always the right time to watch March Madness, especially when football is not going on. But I think that they can, do well.
Absolutely.
Like Texas Tech, you said they're coming off a two-point loss in overtime.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fuel for the fire.
Absolutely.
And they can do well. I think they can do well in March Madness. And I mean, maybe they could go far. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. A little side note: West Virginia is 6-4 in the last 10 head-to-head meetings with Texas Tech. Also, this is very key from Vegas. This is from Vegas. Everybody, people out there. West Virginia is 7-1 against the spread in the last 8 games.
Oh.
Just quick shout out to my friend Dan Brown. That's added at you, my friend. I hope you're listening. But they also rank plus 10 in rebounds per game against the other team, which is second in the country. So big shout out to them. Also, sports related. You might have heard. I'm pretty sure you heard about this. Maybe not. But Penn National Gaming has agreed to buy a stake in Barstool Sports Incorporation for $163 million.
Oh, dang.
Unreal. It is upped Barstool's net worth to $450 million.
That's insane.
Unreal.
That is insane.
Unreal. And if it Penn National Gaming actually jumped 11 points in today's stock, which is giving the company a stake of $3.4 billion. So it is a good day to be a part of both those companies, to say the least. And big shout out to my boys Dave Portnoy and Big Cat and PMT. Just all you guys are great. Thanks for giving us great content. But So that's all I have for today. You want to add anything? Yeah,
we sort of skipped over the Super Bowl a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, we did. All right. So let's give it
the
a
Super Bowl.
I got the Chiefs by 30. That's why I didn't want to talk about it.
Oh, no. Patrick Mahomes is amazing. Their offense is amazing. But also, the 49ers defense is insane. I do not think that the Chiefs will, pull away. They maybe in the fourth quarter, but I don't think it's going to be more than 2 scores. I've been following the 49ers since last year, since they went on the 5-game winning streak.
I hear you.
I think the 49ers are going to win 24-21.
That is a very bold. You might have to go to Vegas and bet those odds there.
I have a feeling I'm going to lose, but I'm going to stick with my gut.
I will say it's key. Garoppolo is not. He's got to throw the ball more than 20 times. He can't just rely on the rush. Otherwise, it's just going to be a shootout. And it's just going to be. But you have anything else for today? I think that we kind of covered everything almost.
Well, still back with the Super Bowl. Press conferences have begun. I think they began Sunday. So there have been some people that have been the Chiefs are riding high. They're being too boisterous. They're being too with popularity and everything. And I feel like that's just fueling the flames for them, and that might give them the victory for it. So, but that's all I have.
Yeah, absolutely. We thank you guys for tuning in. Just love coming out here doing this. We're going to get a name for this podcast sooner or later.
We should.
Yeah, but everybody, God bless Kobe Bryant and his family, and thank you for having us. And just remember, horns are down, folks. Thank you.
Good night, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you for hitting us with a heaping dose of sports. By the way, Patrick, I have the Chiefs winning too. I don't have them winning by 30 though. I think it's going to be a 7-point game. That's just crazy to me. But I mean, I also think the Pro Bowl is trash too. So I mean, hey, can't have them all, right? And so for the last thing that we have today, we're going to be having as always, we got Squawk Talk with my mans Justin Rogers and Holden Andrews. They're going to be talking a lot about the favorite movies through a top 10 list. So they're going to be going to top 10 favorite movies. I know I got to jump in here a little bit. This is a little bit of my wheelhouse, so I'm going to let them get started.
What's up, guys? As you always know, this is Squawk Talk with Justin and Holden. And again, just 2 wacky dudes just talking about some wacky stuff. But how you doing today, Holden?
I'm pretty good. It's interesting closing out the show tonight. I don't know if did we do that last time?
No, I don't think we've really ever closed it. And I think we're following in the footsteps of Raymond.
I think you're right.
He always closed it with Squawk Talk, so we might as well start that tradition again.
You know what? I think that's a great idea. A great way to pay homage to one of our alumni. But you know what? Let's just hop in. Let's do it. Let's get in. Give me. You want to do 1 through 3? How you want to do this?
All right. So let's start with bottom of the list.
All right.
10 to 8. So start with number 10.
Well, I feel like I'm doing my list a disservice. I didn't order it in, favorite to least favorite, but we'll go with it. All right,
let's go.
Number 10, Shattered Glass. Never heard of it. Ayinde, have you heard of it?
Oh, this one's new to me. Go ahead and tell me a little bit about it.
All right. I don't know if y'all. I don't think either of you took long form journalism with. I had it with Brophy, but so Shattered Glass is basically about this journalist who fabricates literally every single story he ever wrote.
Mm-hmm.
It's got Hayden Christensen in it of Star Wars fame, and it goes in depth into not only how he faked his story, but kind of the man behind the mask in a sense. But yeah, Hayden Christensen, a couple other famous actors at the time. It's a little bit older movie. I think I want to say mid 2000s. But obviously I have better movies on this list. But I think just with my personal journalistic interest, this is why it's number 10 for me. Number 9, The Italian Job.
I totally forgot about that movie. I love that movie so much.
Just that movie goes without saying. It's a great heist movie. Moving into number 8, Her.
Wow.
I believe that was what, a Spike Jonze film, and had Joaquin Phoenix in it, about a man who falls in love with basically with a cell phone in a sense, and I just think
Joaquin
it's
Phoenix is in a lot of really creepy movies,
is,
or at
he
least he
is.
plays creepy roles in movies. I have him in one of the movies I'm about to
Yeah,
talk
okay,
about. So.
Okay, but yeah, I think that movie's a great metaphor for society today. But we'll do your 10 through 10, 10 9, and 8.
All right. So for me, for some of these different genres, like I have to have a Marvel movie. I have to have a Pixar movie. Have to have a Disney movie. That's not these three, but number 10 I'm about to talk about is my favorite Marvel movie. Some of you might not agree with this. Avengers: Age of Ultron is one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time.
I hear you. I hear you and I feel you.
And it's funny. I was gonna say the first Avengers, because it was the first ever Marvel movie that I saw in theaters. But rewatching Avengers: Age of Ultron, I think Ultron I think he might be a better villain than Thanos. Hot take here. Like Thanos is probably one of the greatest villains, but Ultron is a fantastic villain. His just relation with Tony Stark throughout that entire movie is great, and this is just a different Avengers movie because like it's like one of the most overlooked Avengers movies, if not one of the most overlooked Marvel movies. So I have to put it on my list.
And you know what? Call back to one of our previous segments. I actually talked about how much I loved Age of Ultron. So
that's right. We talked about that for Disney Plus.
We did. All right, keep going. What's your next one?
I think Ayinde has something to say
do you?
though.
Oh, I'm just giving you guys the yes chant over here.
All right, so we talked about Joaquin Phoenix, and he's the villain in my next movie, Gladiator.
Yes,
Gladiator is one of my favorites, mostly because of the soundtrack. Hans Zimmer does a fantastic job in this movie, but it's a different take on the whole Caesar kind of history that we know of, and it just shows that history really well. And again, just the music just moves that movie so well through, and it's just again like one of my favorite movies growing up, just watching that with my family. Just one of my favorite action movies of all time, I would say.
I hope our audience is entertained right now.
Oh, they better be. They better be. If you've never heard of any of these movies, please like watch them. And who cares about homework? Like just put that to the side and just watch these movies. They're great. All right. Number 8, Good Will Hunting. I love this. Oh my gosh, such a good wholesome movie. I mean, it does have some, I guess, dark topics to talk about in this movie. But I would say it's one of my favorite just because Robin Williams is fantastic in this movie. Just the way that he's portraying himself, just not only as a professor, but just as a mentor. And just like personally, like I've had a lot of mentors who like I've been on that side of just going through life and I need just somebody to guide me. And it was just really cool to see that and to kind of like see that side of that. And it was just, again, a wholesome movie towards the end of the movie and just seeing how that played out. And it was just a clever movie in general. So yeah, I would have to say Good Will Hunting is on that list for me.
All right, so now we're going to do 6, 5, and 4. Number 6.
You can't forget 7. We didn't do 7.
Oh.
So we'll do
Holden
7, 6,
count.
5, and 4. Here we go. All right. Next 4 on your list.
7. The Departed.
Never seen it.
You've never. Oh, it
Never
has. It
seen
has
The
literally every actor that has ever acted in it, and it's just I guess I would call it a slow burn cop drama. It's just a great movie. It's Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson, Alec Baldwin, Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark. Just so many notable actors, and I think that's a movie everyone should see. After that, number 6, Pulp Fiction. John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson. It's a very and I feel like a lot of Tarantino's movies, especially this one, was like kind of eclectic almost. You got a couple different stories coming in, but I think that's just a great movie. After that, a newer one, Knives Out.
I was just about to talk about that movie.
Rian Johnson's newest movie. Daniel Craig, again, just a whole host of actors in it. Daniel Craig, one of my favorite actors who we're hopefully going to get into later, but I saw that movie in theater with my grandparents over Christmas break, and it was just such a good movie from beginning to end. But and then number 4.
Let me talk about Knives Out for a little bit, because it's not in my top 10, because I totally forgot about that movie, because it is a newer movie for me. But I went into that movie, like, my expectations were really high for this movie. The the score of it was fantastic.
Yes.
Rian Johnson needed a comeback movie because of Episode 8 of Star Wars.
Totally
And
agree.
he knocked it out of the park. One of my favorite movies of 2019, in my opinion. There's lots of movies. I know I was just on an episode of Cinema Talk, the podcast that Ayinde has, and I talked a little bit. We talked a little bit about this on the first episode, and I talked about it a little bit on the third episode as we record it today. But just him coming back, and there was lots of good movies in 2019. I think this was definitely one of them for me.
I agree.
Am I missing something? Because like everyone's talking about how good Knives Out is. Now I feel really bad because I still haven't seen it yet.
Ayinde, you have to.
You
go
have
see it.
to
You
see
have
it.
to see it.
You have to see it. Hopefully, I'm hoping they play it at the Sipe Center. Shout out to the Sipe Center for giving BC students some free movies.
Yeah. I actually went over the weekend.
Yeah. This weekend they're showing the new Star Wars movie,
Are they?
Rise of
Okay,
Skywalker.
okay.
So if again on Friday, if you're a BC student, if you have your ID with you, you can get in for free. So, but show up early. I think the showing's like 7 o'clock. There's a couple different showings,
Yeah, I
but
think you're
please
right,
get
you're
there early because there'll be lots of students there.
Yeah.
So,
And
all right, next movie.
What you just said was a nice segue into my next movie, number 4, Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith.
Come on, you
No
gotta have
one
Star Wars.
can ever convince me that that is not the best of the, newer, I guess, well, not newest, but newer trilogy, between Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. And just, I think that really defines Obi-Wan Kenobi as a character.
Oh.
And he is by far my favorite character of the franchise. So, gotta give number 4 to Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith is one of my. I mean, obviously, it's not the original trilogy,
Right, of course.
but me and you, we both grew up on that movie, and like that was a movie for me that like defined myself. Like, okay, I want to be a Star Wars fan.
All right, give me your 7 through 4.
All right, 7 through 4. Number 7, a little bit of a classic here, Casablanca.
That is a great
Casablanca.
great movie.
Oh my gosh, it is one of it. Again, when I think of classic movies, you gotta
Top of
say
the list.
Casablanca because it just defines that kind of like it's a war movie, but also kind of like detective-ish. Like it just has that vibe for me. And like when I watch it, like yes, like it's black and white, but like it feels like I can relate to it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And so again, just one of those movies where it has pretty much everything you could want in a movie. It has good music. It has great acting. It just has everything you could want plot wise. It has romance. It has a little bit of just some drama between everything that happens, especially like all the flashbacks that happen. It's just like a good, wholesome movie for me.
Here's
All right.
looking at you, kid.
Yeah, I love that, Ayinde. I love it. All right, and now we're going to go to my number 6 movie.
All right.
The only Pixar movie on my list, and my favorite Pixar movie. Some of you will probably disagree with me because I was going to say Toy Story, but then I forgot. My favorite Pixar movie of all time is WALL-E.
Really?
I love WALL-E. I'm going to give you a hot take here. Animation-wise, the greatest romance ever is between WALL-E and Eve. I'm gonna hot take right here. Greatest romance. Who cares about all them Disney princesses? It's all about Eve and WALL-E. It's all about Eve and WALL-E. I just love, but like in all seriousness, I love how they can like take robots who have no emotion, and there's pretty much besides the human, no dialogue throughout this entire movie, and yet they convey so much emotion through it all. I love it. It's fantastic. Probably one of the most underrated Pixar movies out there.
I think
Have
you're right
to put it
about
on
that
my
one.
list. All right. Number 5 on my list is a family favorite of my family. It's called That Thing You Do. So it is and a lot of people probably don't know this movie. So
Never
this
heard of
movie. This movie is about a band called The Wonders. And they are called The Wonders because it's a one-hit wonder band. So it's a band, and this all takes place, I think, in like the 60s or the 70s. So basically a band from Erie, PA. They start their own band, and everything just takes off. And then they go on, and then they get to the top, and then the band breaks up. So it's like that whole movie, and Tom Hanks is in that movie. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. And just all the songs throughout the movie are fantastic too. So I love that movie. All right, number 4. Everybody who knows me knows I'm a sports guy.
Yeah.
My favorite sports movie of all time comes in at number 4, Moneyball.
That's a great movie.
Moneyball. Again, I'm gonna have to shout out the podcast, Cinema Talk, because we talked about adaptions of books, and because of this movie is the reason why I went back and read the book. Just great and wholesome. So we're running out of time. Unfortunately, we got about 2 minutes.
Hey, we can make it through the list.
All right. Let's do quick honorable mentions. Just
Right.
like 3 honorable mentions from each of us, and
Okay.
we'll go quick.
All right. 3 honorable mentions. Step Brothers.
Okay.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Okay.
Both Judd Apatow movies, great. And then my last honorable mention, I gotta do 2 more: Psycho, Alfred Hitchcock, and
Okay.
Harry Potter: Order of the Phoenix.
Okay. All right. So you gave 4, I'll give 4. All right. Mulan,
Mhm.
The Terminal,
Okay.
Singing in the Rain, and then I have to say Knives Out as well.
Singing in the Rain is a beautiful movie.
Great movie. All right. Top 3. What you got? Let's
All
go.
right, number 3 is Baby Driver. Ansel Elgort, John Hamm, Jamie Foxx, and that's all I can remember off the top of my head. Number 2, Titanic. As you can, if you're not sensing the theme, I'm a big Leo DiCaprio guy.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
Titanic is one of the most overrated
I knew
movies
you were
of
gonna
all
say
time.
that. I
It's
knew when I
not
put that
a-
down on this list.
It
you were
is
going
Say it
to say
again,
3
Justin.
hours
Say it again.
of
Say it again, Justin.
and one of the most overrated movies of all time. All it does is have a good theme song that everybody likes, and that's it. All right, move on to number 1.
Number 1, recent acquisition, In Bruges. Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, and Ralph Fiennes.
Okay.
The latter 2 were also in Harry Potter as Mad-Eye Moody and Voldemort, obviously.
Okay.
It's I won't get into the movie, but it's a great movie. In Bruges, Bruges. Everyone should see it.
Okay, all right. And I like how neither of us have the same movies.
Yeah,
this
it's
is
interesting.
great.
It's
All right,
interesting.
number 3. You said Italian Job, so I have to go with another kind of heist movie, Ocean's 11. I would say Ocean's 11, 12, and 13,
Yeah.
but Ocean's 11 was my favorite. It's one of those movies where, like, you know everyone in the cast kind of thing. So, again, music is great. Fantastic movie. Number 2, favorite Disney movie of all time. You notice that I have a lot of underrated movies for their categories. Number 2, Emperor's New Groove. Come on. The most quotable movie I have ever experienced in my entire life. Maybe second to my favorite movie of all time, The Princess Bride. Come
That's a great
on.
one.
The Princess
Is that
Bride.
your number 1?
Number 1. And again, another underrated movie that wasn't good in theaters, but then
That's
as
very
soon
true.
as
That's
it
very
released to DVD and VHS, if anybody knows what VHS is, I mean, we're just old people right here. We're seniors, both in grade and in just age.
That's right.
You know, we're both in our 20s, we're seniors. But yeah, so that's what I got for that. But I think we are out of time, unfortunately. We took a lot of time.
We did.
With this one. Usually we don't run out of time, but you know,
There's so much to talk about in this segment, but I
There
think
really
we need to
is.
wrap it up now. So, just thank you for listening. Thank you for, just caring about what we have to say.
yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, thank you. That was a great segment of Squawk Talk. Gotta say, thanks for the shout out. If you want, you can catch Cinema Talk on BC Voice YouTube channel. And as we close out the show, I think I want to reiterate something that I had said earlier tonight about the legend of Kobe Bryant. We all know that Sunday he tragically passed away alongside his daughter, her assistant coach, Christina Mauser, head coach, his wife, and the head coach of Orange Coast College, another basketball player, teammate of hers, of Gianna's, Peyton Chester, and her mother, Sarah, as well as the pilot, Ara Zobayan. I don't want their names to go unheard. They too passed tragically, and their names should be heard. I want to give just a reiteration of the tribute that I have to him. Just calling him influential is selling him so short. He is a hero to many of us growing up. He was an icon, an inspiration to others, not just within the sport of basketball, but just in the realm of life. His presence was felt in every corner of popular culture, even winning an Academy Award for Best Animated Short Film with Dear Basketball. And on the court, there's a reason Michael Jordan said that if there's anybody he can call the GOAT, it's Kobe Bryant. From his epic sweep of the Nets in the NBA Finals to his 60-point performance in his final NBA game, the man loved what he did, and you can tell even through injury, even throughout everything that he does, you just saw that he loved basketball. We here, BC Voice, once again send our thoughts and prayers to the families of the victims. And personally, I want to thank Kobe for not only his dedication to the sport of basketball, but also for his work and determination outside of the court. He was an amazing player. He was a great husband, a fantastic father, and a leader inside and outside of the sport. And finally, as a final thought, his death, I think, shows to a lot of us that life is fleeting. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. But even with that, Kobe Bryant lived his life with that Mamba mentality. And so I believe we owe it to all of us to live our own lives with that same kind of mentality. Be the best person that you can be now, because we will never promise tomorrow, and we can never be promised tomorrow. Once again, I want to say rest in peace to the Black Mamba and to everyone that was lost in that tragic, tragic helicopter accident. But this is not us being upset. This is a celebration of life of the man Kobe Bryant, and his legacy is going to live forever, not just within the sport, but throughout all of us, as we carry that same kind of mentality that he contributed to, that he put that Mamba moniker on. Everybody should live like that. And I believe if we do that, what else is there to fear? Thank you guys so much for listening to the BC Voice Midweek Radio Show every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Again, my name is Ayinde, and good night, everybody, and rest in peace, Kobe.